Hey, you guys, it's your girl Janelle. Hi, y'all. It's your girl Janelle with Cope with Janelle. That's Climb Over Problems Every Day. And today we are talking about autism. I know we're not in Autism Awareness, Acceptance Awareness Month yet. That starts actually on April 2nd, is Autism Acceptance Awareness Day. And so I'm looking forward to that. But I wanted to come in and talk a little bit about my experience with autism. Even as a clinician, and before I even get going with that, where are my manners? Welcome to all of my newcomers to Cope with Janelle, a podcast where you can call in, you can text in to the number 803-830-0639. Again, that's 803-830-0639. And you can add your comments, have your questions, any topics that you would like to talk about or that you would like some professional guidance or words towards. You can definitely leave a message or send a text to that number. That is the number here at Cope with Janelle, located in Irmo, South Carolina. But today, and I'll go ahead on and put that number in the chat as well. Today, I wanted to talk with y'all a little bit about my experience directly with autism and how it hits us as parents. I know that there is a focus for sure, a lot on the one who's actually, as I would say, gifted with this superhuman power of the tism, as I affectionately call it now, um, because obviously they're the ones that have this difference within them, right? But the parents, the parenting. Let me tell you a story. This is episode 13, A Mom Story. I'm that mom. Back in 2013, I gave birth to my firstborn, a son, Dallas. Hey, JoJo. Thanks for joining. So I gave birth to a son. His name is Dallas. He's absolutely amazing. Throughout the pregnancy, had a pretty good pregnancy, I thought. Normal things, the morning sickness and all the things in that first trimester, for sure. Second trimester, started feeling, a little bit better. Third trimester, I was moving around, ready to kind of go. I felt like I was doing pretty good. And I mean, I was definitely active. I think we were at church perhaps the night before I went into labor, and I was just shouting, just bucking through the hallway, just pick them up, put them down. I did all of that and went into labor the next day. Planned on having a natural birth. Remember, I told y'all this was my first. Planned on having a natural birth. I said, I'm going to have a natural birth. I'm going to have the essential oils. I'm going to have the music. I want to have the mirror in front of me so that I can give myself the encouragement that I need if I just see his head or something. Hey, Pearl, thanks for joining in. I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And so I was like, yep. The contraction started. I said, oh, Lord. Oh, my. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Yes, I said that. And I was in labor for almost 2 days. Okay. I went in on the 30th. Dallas was not born until the 1st of November. Okay. I'm just saying. And technically, I went into labor. My water broke on the 29th that night. I didn't go into the doctor until the next morning. I was like, oh, I'm cramping. I'm just cramping. So once I got to the doctor the next morning, like first thing in the morning, 8 something in the morning, that was it. There was no more eating. Sadness already. That's already sad. Um, but I was in labor and I got stuck at 7 centimeters. And for those of you who have had children, you know what I'm talking about. That 7 centimeter. Whoo! Yes. I was stuck at 7 centimeters for what felt like days. It was hours for sure. But I was doing it natural, no drugs, no nothing. I'm pressing my way, pressed my way until I couldn't press no more. They said, ma'am, we need to give you something. We need to give you an epidural because you're not gonna make it, sugar. Before we get out this window, let's go head on and get this. I was afraid of getting an epidural because I've always had back problems. I've had back problems since I was in second grade when I had found out after being in a school bus accident, right? So I was afraid. Yes, I made a decision out of the fog, fear, obligation, or guilt. Talk about that in another episode. But yeah, I made this decision to have a natural birth because I was afraid of the needle in my back. And I ended up with what? A needle in my back. So I have this epidural, right? Thank shout out to my mother who stood in front of me. She helped me through that because baby, and I'm sure I scared everyone else on that hallway. I'm so sorry for anyone else who was giving birth on that day. I'm sorry. Um, but I did all that and I passed out. I endured pain because of fear. Hopefully, some of y'all are picking up some of these innuendos that are embedded in this story. I put myself through elongated, prolonged pain because of a decision that I made out of fear. And because I put myself through so much pain, I ended up passing out. When I came to, I was pushing. And remember, I told y'all I had that mirror in front. It's not a good idea. Don't do it. Don't do the mirror in front. I'm going to leave that alone. But I say all that to say that while I'm pushing, the doctor has her whole forearm inside of me trying to turn Dallas around because he was sunny side up and backwards. What happened that we ended up there, I don't know. But I ended up having to have an emergency C-section. Give birth to my son, traumatic experience, but all in all, I mean, for the birth process, but all in all, I was just so thankful that we'd made it through. I'm holding this little boy that is mine and my husband's, and I, I'm totally unaware of any other pain that I even felt prior to anymore. It's totally erased from me. Um, so I go on. We raise our son, and it's not until he was 1 that I was looking and I said, there's just something different. There's just something different about him. But I couldn't tell. I didn't know. Um, Dallas was always musically inclined. He was drumming inside my belly. I recall that in particular yet. When he came out, he was drumming everywhere. Um, he drummed, even when he was 2 years old. Drum, not just on the pots and the pans, on the lampshades. All the inside our lampshades cracked up because he would drum on the lampshades. He would drum everywhere. And those who know me now, even still to this day, with our 11-year-old son, he is a fantastic drummer. Absolutely. Looking for gigs. Shameless plug. I digress. So when he is 1 going on 2, I was pregnant again with his baby sister, Charlie. And so my time was split. I have a baby and I have an older baby now. And so some of the things I thought, well, maybe he's regressing a little bit because, he sees this baby and he wants me to, you know, do some of these things, or he's leaning towards these things. Put him in a daycare because he and myself and their father, my husband, we have to work, right? So I put them in a daycare, but it was an in-home daycare, um, and they were just absolutely amazing. Donetta um, and oh, her name escapes me right now, but they taught Dallas sign language, and that was his first language because he couldn't talk. And I thought, well, maybe he was delayed because Charlie's not talking and stuff. But his first language was sign language, and he's not even a full two yet, or he might have just turned two. When I noticed that he still wasn't necessarily talking, but he would say just random things. He would tell you what he needed to know within sign language, and I was so thankful for Miss Donnie and Nana Rachel. That's it. Oh, Miss Donnie and Nana Rachel. They helped. They taught them everything. Um, when we ended up putting Dallas in a an older daycare so that he could have some interaction with other children, because maybe that's it. He needs more interaction, more engagement. He goes in, and I get a call, I remember, from one of the daycare workers, and they were saying, "Oh, I think your child has um some learning delays, and I really want to get him in baby net and get him hooked up." Now, I'm a therapist and a school counselor, right? So in my self-righteous mind, I'm thinking, "Oh, no, 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 you didn't. My baby is smart. My baby knows how." No, I'm not taking your word for it. I just was so defensive that there was something that she saw in my son that could possibly mean that there was something wrong with him. Because if there's something wrong with him, there's something wrong with the way I've been raising him, right? There's something wrong with how I brought him into the world. Him having something wrong means that something's wrong with me. That's how I felt. And so I ignored it. But I knew, remember, I said I knew when he was one, just before he was two, I was like, there's something different. The baby, he's walking now, but he's walking on his tippy toes, very sensitive to sound. He is very particular with textures. Um, Keep in mind, I have a cousin that I grew up with that has autism. So I knew like what it could potentially look like, because all autism is not equal. I mean, it's different levels, but I knew what it could potentially look like. And I was scared. I was scared. I didn't want to admit it to myself, let alone admit to anyone that there was anything potentially wrong with my son. Um, because that means that some kind of way in my mind, I worked it out in my mind that I could have prevented this some kind of way, whether it was what I was eating, whether it was my choice of how I decided to have a delivery. Oh, I brought this on myself. I brought this on my son. There was a major amount of guilt. I'm back in the fog. Fear, obligation, and guilt. I'm back in the fog. And it was hard for me to come to grips with that. Before he turned, oh, right when I took him to his 3-year-old appointment. Yes, I believe it is the annual appointments that they do the doctor's office just to see milestones and things of that nature. And I sat there with the doctor and I just cried with her. I said, "I know that my son has autism, but now I have to actually I have to bring it to light. I have to get a diagnosis. I have to start the process. And so um, we did a screening. She gave him a screening. And of course, the screening read very high for, you know, the possibility of having autism. So at this time, again, I'm working in the school system. I'm one of the lucky ones because I work in the school system. So I know the process by which it takes to have a child evaluated, and what that looks like. And so I went ahead and made the calls, sent the emails, but not before I came home, after that doctor's appointment, I came home. I remember talking with CJ, with my husband, in the kitchen, and I just broke down crying because I knew, and I had known for quite some time, but I wasn't ready to admit it. I wasn't ready to exercise radical acceptance. I wasn't ready to face that what I was thinking could actually be real and what that could potentially mean. But I also wasn't ready to continue to ignore it so that it could compound and become a bigger issue. Remember, before I told y'all that I have a cousin that has autism that I grew up with, and he has pretty significant. It's more severe. He has a lower um, level of functioning than my son, and so I knew that it was imperative to act now because I was already behind because of my own discomfort in what I was thinking about myself. Because it was never about what people would think of me. Because when you really think about it, the things that you're assuming people will think about you are the things you are thinking about you that you're afraid someone else will mirror. You've already thought it about you. So, really, your voice is the one that's louder. So, I went ahead and started the process. The process took a long time, and I was within the system. Like, I knew the people to call and the ropes and all the things, but it takes a minute to go through and do the amount of evaluations that are necessary, the observations, all the things. So, but we got some early intervention. And to see Dallas now, oh my gosh. And I think it was episode 2, maybe, or 3. I did an episode with my daughter and my son, with Dallas and Charlie. And to see him and to hear him speak and engage, you would not necessarily know right off the bat that he has autism because the intervention was there. Could it have been done earlier? Yeah. Did I catch it at a good time or just in time? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Why are you telling us this story? Well, I want to encourage the parents, the parents of all of the children that have some type of special needs. The notion that there is something that you can do as a parent to change what is, it kind of eats away at us. We want to save our children from all the things. We want to be able to take away any pain, any sorrow, anything that would present as a roadblock or something that would stop them from being as successful as we want them to be. But the ultimate truth is that the life that they have is the life that was always intended. And so the sooner we as parents come to grips with what is and figure out, okay, well, what do we need to do with what is? That's when we can move forward. That's when we can parent in our best selves. I when Dallas hears me talk about autism, I say that he's gifted with autism, with this superhuman power. I don't know anybody else in my family that can recall dates like Dallas, that can script entire movies, um, episodes, like his memory bank. And for me, a person with ADHD, I am hashtag jealous, okay? But he's so gifted. He's so brilliant. He has such a keen musical ear, taught himself how to play bass. He plays the drums, plays the bass, is fiddling around with the piano, working on mixing, trying to DJ. Like he has such a gift. And I know that this is also connected to the tism. And so I could have spent my life, his life, looking at, oh my gosh, he has this disability. Or I can look at him in our lives and say, oh, he has this different ability. There's something special about the ability to reframe a cognition that will help us to not only accept what is, but to see the positive aspects of what we have within our lives. We're all different. We're all gifted with something, even if it's presented to us as a challenge or a disability. We're all gifted with something. I have ADHD. I've told y'all that before. I am gifted with the ability to not only be like this dynamic creative, but to listen to 14,000 conversations at the same time and and be able to be present in those times. When not when I'm on overload though, like, don't do that. But you know, um, I can do that. I can hyper focus on something and see the detail of that thing because I'm able to hyper focus. There are different ways of looking at whatever we've been gifted with, but as parents, we have to be more kind and compassionate to ourselves that we didn't do something on purpose to give someone something. Like, it's not, I didn't do anything on purpose knowing that, oh, yes, my son is going to come out having autism. I have no idea. Even if I was able to do the work, the research, and prove that there's a link between C-sections or emergency C-sections and the children coming out with autism. Like, even if that was a thing that I could prove, that doesn't change the fact that Dallas has autism. And so, either way, we have to make sense of what is and accept whatever is and embrace whatever is and build a new norm around whatever is. So, today, before we even hit Autism Awareness Month, which will be starting in April, starting just in a handful of days, before we even get in there, where the focus will be on all the people who have autism, I want you all, as parents of those with autism, to know that you are an amazing parent. Parenting is hard on a regular day with what other people call regular kids. Child, my kid is as regular as they get, even with the tism, okay? But on a good day, parenting is hard. But when you're parenting, especially as the children are younger or less able to function, to have their own independent functioning, and communication is not there, it makes it difficult. It makes it almost like unbearable to try to figure out what is it that they need, what is it that they want, what is it that I need to do in order to make this situation better or to get them to eat. They're not eating anything. they're having a fit right now in the middle of the floor. Why are we in the grocery store and you're falling out? Please get up. They're gonna think I'm beating you or something. Like, it's hard. Be kind to yourself. Know that you're not alone. That's for sure. You are not alone. You are not doing this by yourself. I encourage you to even look at some of the groups on Facebook, Autism Speaks, um, Autism awareness groups, um, different organizations and associations that may have group sessions, support systems, other information or details on how to obtain certain things like insurance for your child, special care, how to walk through um, getting your child into special needs services. Prayerfully, everything we'll still have special needs services. I'm not saying that, and I'm just saying